So she does all the things. Mommy, wife, a worker, an advocate, and she's all about leaving a legacy. Let's meet Alexis. All right, you guys, meet Alexis.
Hi.
Welcome to Personal Space, and thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
It's a Friday.
It is.
We're right at the weekend.
Mhm.
So what is your day looking like? What is your weekend gonna look like? Relaxation,
You know
some
what?
stuff time.
Yeah, this weekend is probably the first weekend in a few weeks where I actually do get to rest. So yeah, the kids are gonna be dropped off to Grammy this afternoon.
That's the best.
Yeah, I gotta pick them back up, and then they'll go again Saturday night. So I still
Okay.
get some downtime this weekend. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So the reason why I asked you to do this interview, because, we've known each other for a while. We've followed each other for a while, worked together in some aspects. But Alexis is a mom of 4.
4.
You are a full-time worker. You are a full-time wife. How do you manage it all? Where does the work-life balance come in? I think you were the perfect person to kind of share your story about just living life, living a full life. So how do you balance it all, and how do you just make it work?
Do I balance it all?
You tell me. Or it looks that way.
It might look that way. And someone told me the other day, like, you have a very type A look. That's not necessarily my actual personality.
Oh, wait, type A as in like you got it strict.
Yeah, everything is very rigid, I'm organized, I have a schedule, I have all these things.
Not the case.
No, that's who I aspire to be. So I realized that is what I project.
Okay.
But no, that's not what's really happening.
So what's really happening? Give us the tea. Give us the tea.
What's really happening is, well, like I told you, I just was lucky to get out the door this morning with my keys and my laptop to make it into work. What's really happening is I'm normally roughly 15 minutes late just about everywhere. And, it's just me trying to give myself grace during that. It's me screaming at 4 children to get out the door, even though they knew from the night before that we got school in the morning, like those things. And it's me trying to just do my best in each one of those situations. So whatever it is that's thrown at me, my whole goal is to always just project my best self.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Like my head is be spinning with 2. How do you manage with 4? Girl, give us the secret sauce to make. How do you manage with
Listen,
4 kids?
You know how people say, have them and so they could be company for each other? They don't be company for each other. They
want
fight
to play
with
with you
each
still,
other.
right?
They want to play with me. Like that's what it normally is. But I am blessed in the fact that the 2 eldest boys, they are a little bit more independent.
How
they are
old
12
are they?
and 10 now.
Okay.
Baby girl is 7 and baby boy is 3.
Okay.
And, watching them, I see baby boy becoming a little bit more independent, which is a problem sometimes because, okay, he wants to do these things for himself. You know how that is, the toddler phases. But, the 2 eldest boys, I feel like to a degree, like they could fend for themselves a little bit more. So that gives me a bit more wiggle room. I don't have to be on as much for them.
And they probably don't even want you to be, right?
They don't. They
wanna
really
be
don't,
independent.
honestly. Yeah, they don't. And that helps a lot in terms of them being able to help me. So, like, making sure that they do have some sort of routine. Like this week, the 12-year-old is on dishes. The 10-year-old is on another chore. So, and then rotating those things takes that kind of pressure off of me to a degree. Once I actually follow through and stick to the routine. And that's what kind of helps to keep that balance going. With the younger 2, like I said, it's a toss-up. Every day is something new with them, honestly. And realistically, it's just me trying to be sane in those moments.
Yeah.
The situation is fluid always.
So where do you go to find your sane? Like, what is that one spot in your house? Is it in your car? Like, where do you go to find your...
That spot is not in my house. That spot is in my car.
In your car?
That spot is in my car on a long drive with whatever music that I want to be blasting in that very moment. That is me. I don't want no one call me while my Bluetooth is connected so I can listen to what I want to listen to. Really, that's my spot. I've been trying over the last few months. It's felt more of like a, rediscovery, trying to figure out what are some of the things that I like again.
Yeah.
I haven't taken the time because it's just been about the things that I need to do, just getting stuff out the way.
I feel you. I don't even, and I posted to my Instagram the other day about figuring out what my body likes. Like, I don't even know what clothes I like anymore.
Listen.
I don't know what fits. I don't know what looks good on me. Like, I just don't even know, like, who's you?
Who you are
like,
anymore.
Who am I? I don't know. I don't know, like, music I listen to. I don't know. I know I like to watch TV, so whatever I find a good crime series and I'm good. I know that.
Exactly.
But, like, just figuring out, like, what makes me go every single day. Like, as opposed to feeling like you are just clocking in.
Yeah.
Clocking in to make everyone's life better. So I know you have your W3 Collective group, which I love, which I admire, because moms need that support. We need that. We need that just rallying behind. And we know you and Kiani are the founders, co-founders of that. But why was it so important for you to create a space for women to scream pretty much into our little device and say, "Hey, girl, I need some little support right now." Why was it important for you to do that?
Well, I think, people create out of necessity. I didn't have the space. I didn't see where I had the space, so I created it.
Yeah.
I figured if I felt like this, other moms had to feel like this. I can't be the only one in the Bahamas, much less the world, to feel this way.
Yeah.
So I'm like, hey, girl, I feel like this. Do you feel like this?
Yeah.
Let's hold hands and join together and see what we can make happen. So, the W3 Collective for us is like, the whole goal is to help moms to find their sweet spot in motherhood. We want to always celebrate moms and advocate for our wellness. I think that's a big part because, a lot of these motherhood communities are so focused on parenting and I think like mommy and me stuff, but there's not many avenues to nurture the whole woman.
That's so needed because if we're not nurtured, if we're not cared for, how can get children? You can't, you don't want to be that crazy going out your head woman who still have to, lead by example and feed and teach and do homework, right? You have to be within your whole self. But it's rough because people feel like, you go from mom of none to mom of, like, me too, mom of, like, you four, but, like, ain't nothing happened. She just had children. No, like, everything changes.
Right. I remember being at work. I remember, and it was really an important lesson, but I do remember, even in pregnancy, I had a supervisor just let me know because I was really feeling bad. I think this was my first pregnancy, and she was like, I understand, but, like, pregnancy isn't a disability, number one, right? So I know.
Because y'all know I've taken on that
mantle, and I appreciate it. But that was what I was told. So for years and years and years, I kind of took that to heart and wore that like, okay, like women been doing it for years, millennia. So who am I to say, I can't because I don't feel supported in this way? Like, that's what it felt like. It felt like no matter what I have to push through, I could be on this job until the baby ready to come out right now because I have to just work up until the time. And then I have to be up and about doing things because people are expected, to come over and see baby. So your house got to be a certain way. And I had all these expectations that I thrust upon myself realistically.
No, society did that to you.
Society did it. They definitely put it in there. And I decided that I would run with it. And no, only after life started to throw more and more and more at me, I was like, okay, something has to give. And where's the give going to be? So,
Yeah, definitely. I love that you say that, you realized that it was something that society put out there, but you took on the mantle. And so thinking of that and thinking about being moms and being wives and still have to work, right? We still go to work every day. You still have to clock in on a job. Like, how does that, how do you make it work? How do you balance it all? Because you went from I saw on your Instagram post you recently posted about having the freedom, working from home, working remote, to now lock and chain, ball and chain at a desk job. How are you making it work? How are you balancing?
That is definitely something that I am currently struggling with. Being on a new job, in a new industry, no less, being probably the oldest person on the team, if you believe that, right? And then coming into an organization that has their own culture and their own way of doing things, but there's still the tradition of being there at the desk, 9 to 5. No matter how evolved we are as a nation, we still want to see butts and seats. And it's seemingly sometimes that weighs more than productivity. So therefore, flexibility kind of falls by the wayside. So how I've been managing that is, number one, always being in like constant contact with my supervisors, with my director, just kind of letting them know, hey, this is what's going on. Because at the end of the day, everyone is human.
Yeah.
We all have our different crosses to bear. Mine is my children and my very busy and hectic life. Other people may not have that, but they have their own things.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to be able to stay in constant communication and let them know what's going on. You might not have that flexibility in terms of the actual workplace, but if you create a relationship with the person that you need to have it with, then they may be able to help you and be an advocate for you in that regard. So that's what's been helping me on the job. Additionally, I think just, always keeping the mission top of mind of my role and everything. And that honestly is what drives you to do more and be able to make the sacrifices to do things in that regard. For me, like I worked last weekend. That was all day on Saturday. So where the children? Like I have to find now, I have to outsource and find someone to come in. And 2-to-1, that costs more than my day at work.
Listen, I posted to my Instagram last week because we were here in the studio doing some work. And I posted that I had already made arrangements for them to be dropped off somewhere, right? And I said to myself, but to pack up everything, to make sure they have everything, to pack extra of everything, drop them off, and then get to my spot, I might as well just take them with me.
Yep.
And sometimes I say, you know what? Sometimes you got to choose your chaos, right? And for me, that day, the chaos was just keeping them with me. Yeah, a 5-month-old and a 5-year-old.
It's wild. Crazy.
Wild. But listen, I chose that chaos over being the hamster on the wheel, the dropping off and the picking up, and oh, we got one bottle for this, another bottle for this. I need an extra pair of shoes, an extra pair of socks. Girl, y'all just come with me. Y'all just come with me because listen, I ain't get all that today. And so sometimes you just have to really pick your chaos and be like, you know what? This is what I can deal with today. Because every day ain't gonna be the same. And trying to find, like I say, outsource help or find the resources, have that village to help you. Sometimes they ain't available.
They're not
available. My sister's traveling, my stepmom's traveling, my mother-in-law. So what I can do? Y'all better jump on my back. I get the Georgie bundle. Exactly. And we can go.
Listen to me. I went to my book club meeting last Sunday. And normally, so when you talk about spaces for me to just be, that is one of those. But I had to carry 2 children with me.
And sometimes you got-y.
Sometimes you got-y because it's like, okay, stay home, and then you don't get filled up. So, it was a child-friendly environment because her child was there and they got to play and whatnot. But those things are important to do. Like you said, choose your chaos. I was going to have a dandy while they go and play and do whatever. Y'all figure it out in the background while I take my time with my bookies.
Yes, and you get the best of both worlds. But if you would stay at home now and be like, you know what, I ain't getting one to watch them, so I'm just going to stay home. Now you feel empty. You feel unfulfilled. You feel like you missed out on something, right? So, child, sometimes you got to put them on your back, and strap them down and just go. Yeah. Right? And so your safe space is in the car. Mine is in the bathroom.
That's not mine.
Mine's in the bathroom, even though they just come and slag the door. When I go in the bathroom, you see me, I can lock the room door, then close the bathroom door, because you don't come in here.
Yeah, they've learned how to pick the door, so that's not my safe space anymore.
The lock?
They pick the lock.
No way. No way.
I need to get deadbolts as well. That's what it is.
And so you advocate for moms, you advocate for families, essentially, and you advocate for the whole woman, right? But I know recently you have also taken on a new advocacy role with Alzheimer's. And we know that, with the loss of both your parents, how did you navigate that? Because I know that we have, and I think it's an unspoken thing that a lot of Bahamians do, like being caretakers for either their kids, their parents, other family members. Like, how did you navigate this new journey, I'd call it?
I think, so my mother had Alzheimer's. She had been diagnosed for 10 years before she passed. So it was gradual. In the beginning, it was just kind of helping with logistics, like getting stuff done in their home. Things that she was no longer able to take care of, like so outsourcing food, all these different things, probably just dropping off an extra meal there because daddy ain't going to no stove for no reason. Things like that. And then it evolved into, okay, now, so she can't drive anymore, so I have to now take her to different places because it can't stop. She can't just be in home, you know, in isolation. So she still has to be social and go about. So taking her around to different places. Um, so it started out very slowly and gradually. But I remember at my job that I was on for 10 years, when I made the decision to leave because she had gotten to the point where she was sneaking out of the house, hopping on the bus on the number 10 and coming down here downtown and walking into my job and just sitting there with me for however long. And I think this is where your employer makes such a big difference, right?
Yeah.
So mine at the time was an absolute angel. You know, his office was at the front. He would see her walking through and be like, hey, you got a visitor on the way. So I let her sit with me for a little while, and then when I was done with whatever I had to wrap up, I'd, you know, leave, go take her for a drive or whatever, so she could just feel like she had an experience and then get her back home. Or some days it wasn't that. It was, I'm getting a call, yeah, mommy has gone wandering somewhere, and I got to hop off my job to go and look for her. So that happened for a while, and then she was no longer mobile, and we had to have full-time care in the home. And at that point, I took on more of a role because that turned into now doctor's visits and turned into being the one in charge of all of their affairs and those sorts of things, trying to get, you know, power of attorney and guardianship and all these different things that I would have had no reason to know about prior to. You know, I had only, in my previous role in insurance, I had only spoken about them to my clients, not necessarily having any hands-on experience with those sorts of things. So taking on those things, dealing with two households at the same time, theirs and mine, and, you know, kind of dealing with the logistics of everything, and then work, was taking a toll. I left the first job, and that was my first instance as a stay-at-home mom, I guess. But I was a stay-at-home caregiver as well as taking care of the two small boys at the time. And then found out that same summer that I was pregnant with baby girls. So it was a lot going on, a lot of moving parts, a lot of grace that I had to give myself. You feel a lot of guilt. You feel, I think persons who are caregivers for some reason feel a lot of shame, whether it's for themselves or for the person they're taking care of. And that's why it seems so taboo. They don't want to talk about it because they don't want the reflection of the person they're taking care of to be of what they are now in their current state. They want their people to be
how
remembered.
they were.
Right. So then that's what causes the isolation. Friends don't come over anymore. Sometimes because they just fall by the wayside, as friends do sometimes, but also because the family kind of keeps them shrouded because they don't want them to be looked at in a certain light. So those things were hard. And apart from that, you know, I was essentially an only child. I had two brothers, both of which passed, and I have two nieces from one of those brothers. But, you know, no one was hands-on, realistically. So there was paid help. There was me. And one of my nieces who was in the home with them at the same time, you know, was helping wherever she can. But she also had her children as well. So, you know, making sure in those instances you have as many hands on deck as you possibly can. You lose pride. You know, have to become humble because you got to ask for a lot.
A lot of help, especially, right?
You got to ask for a lot of help. You got to ask for a lot of what may seem like handouts. So you now got to go to probably the clinic instead of using maybe a private insurance or whatever to source certain areas of help that you need for your family members. And those sorts of things were rough. But then what I think played more of a role was just seeing their decline. Seeing their decline, knowing where they were, the persons that they used to be, and then now to see where, you know, where they are, and trying to remember them for yourself in the way that you knew them to be. And also still having enough sensitivity and giving them grace to realize that they're not doing this. You know, this is not something that they're being intentional about doing. They're not voluntarily being this way. This is a disease.
So your father had Alzheimer's as well?
He ended up being diagnosed with Alzheimer's in 2021 at the same time, essentially, as him being diagnosed with cancer.
Oh, wow.
So that actually kind of expedited the Alzheimer's. So yeah, his was a short stint in caregiving. And for him, I think it was really hard because mommy had stopped working a while back, but he was still on the job.
Yeah, and if y'all don't know who her father is, the Hawk Finlayson, Alpheus Hawk Finlayson.
Listen.
I mean, he is such a treasure.
He definitely is.
I remember my days in media, like I never did like covered sports or anything, but I knew every time like big sporting moments, like he would come into the newsroom.
Yeah.
People would always talk about, he was always referenced for stuff.
Yeah.
And so he really made an impact. You know, if there's any consolation to you, like just know that he was the Bahamian.
Yeah.
He was the Bahamian dream.
Yeah. Well, when he died was when I think I really grasped.
When you saw that,
and knew that it wasn't a loss just for me and my family. It was a loss for the country.
Yeah.
It definitely was. When I saw the outpouring internationally and locally, and you know, when you look at a giant of a man that he was, and then because of that, and because he was so smart, you know, he was able to hide it for a real long time as to what exactly was going on. Very prideful, very arrogant, very boastful, very all the things. And for him to have to come to terms with this is what is going on with him was really, really rough. So he stayed on the job for as long as he could and, you know, tried to do everything that he possibly could to make sure that his clients, who he would always say he had a love affair with, were taken care of.
Yeah, that's good. So do you think you were prepared for that journey? I know you said your mom had been diagnosed 10 years prior. Do you think you were prepared for that journey? You had 2 boys at the time. You said you were pregnant at one point. Then you had eventually another child after that. I mean, did life prepare you for this journey?
There's no preparation, just as in motherhood, there's no preparation. There's no guidebook. There's no rules to this. There was no preparation for my caregiving journey, especially being a part of what we call the sandwich generation, having to now take care of your aging parents and raise all these little people here. So,
and then you in the middle still trying to achieve goals and go after things.
Yeah, so that is something that kind of, you know, I guess fell by the wayside. I I actually ran into someone who I used to work with, and they let me know, like, gave me the tea on like what the word on the street was, kind of from, you know, my old job. Like a few people were like, oh yeah, well, you know, she left, she couldn't hack it, she couldn't handle it, because they don't understand what was going on in the background. And they didn't need to understand what was going on in the background, because people are going to make their own assumptions. But you know, in book club, we're reading Mel Robbins, Let Them. So let them. Whatever they think, whatever their opinion is, I let it go. I was like, okay, good to know.
Yeah.
Now I know.
Yeah.
But I mean, no, I wasn't prepared. Trying to achieve goals for yourself, trying to figure out how I'm going to sustain the W3 Collective just because you're at capacity. It was hard. So, you know, there's an ebb and flow. There were times when you have to pull back and say, okay, let's strip down to, if we're in survival mode, let's be in it. Let's strip down to the bare bones of exactly what it is that we need and absolutely must have in order to get through day to day.
Yeah, all the extras and all the fluff.
No, you don't need all the frills right now. Just get through one day at a time.
One day at a time. And you talk a lot, too, about the taboo that's placed on the caregiver journey and, you know, watching your family member, whoever that may be, you know, just go into a decline. Is that something we need to talk about a lot more and just shed shed the curtains off of it and be like, hey, this is what's happening. It no longer needs to be taboo.
It doesn't need to be taboo, you know, especially with Alzheimer's. It was always like, oh yeah, these old people, they just don't know whatever. But no, it is a form of dementia. It is a disease. It is something that they ain't playing crazy. This is just something that's happening to them. It's not a regular part of aging, as most people believe as well, but it is rapidly expanding throughout our region.
Yeah.
So it is something that even if we're not talking about it now, it's going to touch you, whether you've been a caregiver before, whether you are one already, or you're going to need care.
Yeah.
Any one of those scenarios could play out, and most likely we're going to need all hands on deck to be able to push through this as a country, because we're not talking about it.
Yeah, and we should. Well, Alexis, you are one hell of a woman. Because, girl.
It was a lot. But I mean, I think people ask me that all the time. Like, how do you do it? I'm like, what else you
What else would you supposed to do, right?
I mean,
and I think I like that you said that, because a lot of times we're faced with stuff and we don't realize that we looking like a superhero to other people. But when the problem is at our doorstep, at our feet, it's like, what else you want me to do?
You could do.
And especially as a woman, we can just do what we got to do.
Figure it out some way. Yeah. No, I think it's just when I hear friends or anyone has just approached me and they're saying that, girl, I don't know how you do it all. I mean, your capacity, I think, and I just was telling someone this the other day, just expands to whatever it is that you need to get done.
Yeah.
You know, when they say that you won't have more put on you than you can bear, I think that is absolutely true.
Yeah.
If it's being placed on you, then that means that God feels like you could bear this. Like, you got this, girl. Like,
that's the
get
toughest
it
lesson
together.
ever. That's one of the
It
toughest
is.
lessons ever, but that is so true. Well, Alexis, thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you.
It's always good to run into you.
Yes.
I hope you have a great weekend.
Listen.
Without them churning.
Feet up. Laundry, but feet up. Yeah.
Oh, God. It's always some basket of laundry hanging out, right? Alexis, thank you so much. This has been Personal Space. We'll see you next time.